Oh, hoy hoy gang, if this is your first time with us, welcome, and if you're joining us from a previous video, hey, we love to see it, and I hope you're doing well. It's time for another top 5 episode collection, this time in Season 13. We're gonna get the best that diners, drive-ins, and dives has to offer, a fantastic lake legend, and so much more. So without further ado, let's get into it. What were my top 5 episodes of Season 13? Yay! Number 5, The Legend of Old Ulysses. Like I have said before, and like I will say again, I love me some vignette episodes. And The Legend of Old Ulysses checks all the boxes I need from one. From energy drinks and weird, like, Sleepless in Seattle references and You've Got Mail with Tuttle. It's just, yeah, I love how much they use Richard Kind, especially later on in American Dad. Like, when we first got Tuttle, he was fine, he was whatever, but now we have gotten Sad Fatty. Now we have gotten this just wildly eccentric character that fits in their neighborhood. He fits as a perfect neighbor for the Smiths. And having him go out on adventures like this and engaging with like Snot, I think is really, really great for his character. It shows that they're willing to invest more and more into Tuttle. And on top of that, we get Curtis Armstrong doing a fantastic performance as Snot, and again, a great Steve and Stan adventure, while also having Francine and Haley going crazy with Sun Madness. There is so many elements to appreciate. On top of, I even talk about Roger being a cycling instructor that doesn't know how to ride a bike. That's so dumb it works in all the best ways. Like, every point you look at it from Halliburton, it just absolutely shines Halliburton. I'm sorry, gang. I know these aren't being very critical, but it's the top 5 episodes of American Dad seasons. Like, at the end of the day, these are always going to be different for different people. But between the musical numbers, again, the wonderful performances, it's hard to not see why someone wouldn't put this in their top 5 list. It's just such a strong, cohesive episode, and I genuinely appreciate how experimental they still are 13 seasons in. Number 4, Paranoid Frandroid. If this episode is not on my top 5 list, assume I'm a body snatcher. Because full disclosure, I am a huge conspiracy nut. Like, I love cryptids and, you know, old conspiracy stuff, none of the new stuff. But I always thought that, like, Smoking Man, you know, X-Files kind of identity was so cool. I thought that was neat. So to have someone like Stan be the executive producer on Morning Mimosa and actually, like, gaslighting Francine, I think that's wonderful. I think that's a cool idea, and I'm so glad they did it creatively. And I love how Francine just goes deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, encouraged by Roger, the actual alien. Which is also great that he hosts a conspiracy con and no one actually looks at him and goes, oh, he's an alien, or kinda cares. Like, we've gotten to a point where Roger could just walk outside and they don't worry if his persona falls apart because we've already established that people can't see through his personas, which is a very, very smart writing device to give them more freedom with his character. It makes him more than just an alien in their attic, and I really love that. But you know, that's not the only reason this episode is as high as it is. You know, that's not the reason. No. See, this is a wonderful Steve and Klaus adventure because Snot's mom is dating a man that lives in a Chesterbrook townhouse, and he's willing to give Snot a super cool basement to trick out and get chicks. And that is amazing. Every bit of the Chesterbrook B story is fantastic. Even if Snot is just freaking out at the end, he's like, what is happening? What is going on? Like, that is great. I love subversive comedy. On top of that, you've got Stan's boys actually feeling guilty about trying to keep him distracted while they take out Francine. And I don't know. I think that's a nice twist. I think that's great that Stan has his boys. Sure, they're the CIA boys, but they're the good time boys that Stan needs in his life. And it's fun. It's sort of like Can I Be Frank with You? Except it doesn't wholly involve Francine in it, and I kind of think that makes it stronger, because it's just showing them being bros. And I like that. I like that Stan has bros. Paranoid Frandroid is just, it is one of my favorite episodes. And if it's at number 4, you can only imagine how stacked the season is. Number 3, Death by Dinner Party. If you don't love the Colonel, you don't love American Dad. There is no feasible way you have gone through 200 plus episodes of American Dad and the Colonel isn't your favorite character. I have covered the Colonel extensively through all 18 seasons of the show that he has appeared in, which is exactly this episode, and I love that he's only in this episode and they pretend he's been around for the entire time. It very much reminds me of Total Recall, the Rick and Morty episode where they keep having flashbacks and they just add more and more people in, like Reverse Giraffe or Hammer Eye, and I love that. I love that they have this giant yellow red herring that everyone just assumes, well, obviously he's the one behind it, he's the Colonel. And then Steve's just like, I'm safe with the Colonel. Nothing's gonna happen because I'm with the Colonel. And that's great. I love that they go all in on the joke. I love that they did all of this just to basically shake Roger up, and that is glorious. There is so much to love about this episode, and I appreciate that it doesn't treat the audience like they're stupid. It doesn't hand feed them the twists. It lets them figure it out in real time, especially, and I talked about this before, but with the Jeff moment, when Jeff just disappears, and you as a viewer don't even notice it until Roger points it out. On a lesser show, they'd have like red arrows flashing like, he's gonna disappear soon, careful. But here, they're like, look at me do it again. Boom, there he is. Don't you feel dumb right now? And then you laugh, because you were dumb. I'll admit it, I never noticed it, and I rewatch this episode monthly almost. It is so good. It is so funny. You get wonderful performances by Seth MacFarlane as like 5 different characters this episode, on top of just, being a really, really strong family and Roger episode. It's got great comedy, it's got great suspense, it is just a terrific overall episode. Number 2, Shell Game. But even Death by Dinner Party, even one of my favorite American Dad episodes of all time, does not hold a candle to the bird-watching buddies of Shell Game. I mean, oh my God, this is a perfect episode. This is one of my favorite episodes of all time. A story, Roger and Steve are bird-watching buddies, and they find out about egg thieves, and Roger gets the egg madness, and they have to deal with all of that. That's fine, A big adventure for Steve and Roger. But if you're gonna get kidnapped, you should eat something first. Because the B story gang is, I would say magical. I would say enchanting. I would say magically enchanting even. Because the Smith family tries a new zesty sauce, and all of a sudden, they're the most New World New York Italians you have ever seen. And it is incredible. Just even having Steve going, what was in that sauce, is great. It is so absurd in the best possible way. Oh, I love this man! There is so much to love. There is so much fun and just general whimsy. We don't use the word whimsy enough, but there's so much whimsy in Shell Game. And I say that as several men run off a cliff to their doom in this episode. But it's fun, it's dumb, and it's so celebratory of how dumb it is. And it's just, I love it. I love Shell Game so much, and I love that Stan and Francine are just so uninvolved with everything else going on. I adore that it's mainly focused around Steve and Roger, but it takes enough time to let the zesty sauce breathe as just a bunch of really quick jokes that somehow twist into the A story. Again, Steve's flashback is classic. It is just, I am swimming in a bowl full of love. Perfect episode. Absolutely just, mwah, mwah. I'm gonna hit it with the mwah, 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 and hit it with that quintuple chef's kiss. That's 5 chef kisses out of 5. Number 1, Flavor Town. While Shell Game will have a very, very, very special place in my heart, there is no episode I truly love more for the most selfish reasons than Flavor Town. When you sell me Guy Fieri inhabiting Jeff's body because Guy Fieri is an eternal, like, gluttony demon and party demon, that just sings for me. That is how you make a perfect American Dad episode to me. And like the B story of Roger and Klaus being valets isn't horrid. It's actually kind of creative and fun, sure. But also, I just really love how Stan and Jeff interact in this episode. And then, boom, it's just, Sammy Hagar loves poblano peppers. And it's like, yes, give me more Fieri-isms. I need to see the demon Fieri. I love it. I am a huge dumb food show fan. So if you give me Guy Fieri, if you give me Alton Brown, if you give me any of the Food Network crew, you've got my attention. Now, granted, I wish Guy Fieri was actually in this episode like he is the Great North for some reason, which is still weird, but it's still just good, dumb, Stan fun. It is a dumb episode built to be dumb and celebrate dumbness. It's just, I love it. I love it. It is so good. Flavor Town is easily one of my favorite episodes. I don't have to explain it. I know it's dumb. I know you'll all disagree, and that's fine. It is definitively my episode. Probably top one of all American Dad episodes above Rabbit Ears and Gold Top Nuts, just because it's Jeff being possessed by the spirit of Guy Fieri, and the absolute absurdity of it all is enough to make it my favorite episode of the entire season. And there we have it, folks. That's season 13, and yeah, just some really solid episodes. Again, we got more experimental episodes with things like Death by Dinner Party and The Legend of Old Ulysses in some ways, but we also got just some classic American Dad in the form of Shell Game, Paranoid Frandroid, and one of my absolute favorites, Flavor Town. It is an absolute delight to be able to do these for you. And if you like the content, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and tell us what your top 5 episodes of American Dad Season 13 are in the comments below. And if you want to support the channel, make sure to join our Patreon and membership groups to get videos like this early, only $2 a month, and you can get featured on this wonderful list. Ooh! Season 13 just goes to show that they never stop experimenting. And it's just wild to see how far the show has come over these 200 plus episodes. There's so much to love, and there's so much more that we can get into, and I'm so excited for it. Up next is season 14 with some of the best weird episodes of the entire show, and I'm so excited to talk about it. Until then, stay strong, keep fighting that good fight, and know I'll always believe in you, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody!